The Raven. There was once a queen who had a little daughter still in arms. So that's a baby. One day the child was naughty and would not be quiet, whatever her mother might say. Good luck talking to a baby. Then she grew impatient, and as the ravens were flying around the castle, she opened the window and said, "I wish you were a raven, that you might fly away, and then I should have peace." Ouch. She had hardly said the words when the child was changed into a raven and flew out the window. She flew straight into a dark wood, and her parents did not know what had become of her. One day a man was passing through this wood and heard the raven calling. When he was near enough, the raven said, "I am princess by birth, and I am bewitched, but you can deliver me from the spell." "But what must I do?" asked the man. "Go farther into the wood," she said, "and you will come to a house with an old woman in it. She will offer you food and drink, but you must not take any. If you eat or drink what she offers you, you will fall into a deep sleep, and then you will never be able to deliver me. There is a great heap of tan bark in the garden behind the house." What is tan bark? Let us go and find out. Tan bark. Oops. This is my planning ahead. Okay. Let's see if I can. Tan bark. Tan bark is the bark of certain species of tree. It is traditionally used for tanning hides into leather. The words tannin, tanning, tan, and tawny, really, are derived from the medieval Latin tanar, to convert into leather. The bark of certain species of tree. Okay, so let's read that again. There is a great heap of tan bark in the garden behind the house. So somebody is collecting tan bark and putting it in their garden, in their backyard? "You must stand on it and wait for me. I will come for 3 days in a coach drawn by 4 horses, which on the first day will be white." That doesn't make sense. Okay. So this is the raven saying, "You must stand on it and wait for me. I will come for 3 days in a coach drawn by 4 horses, which on the first day will be white." That's weird. "On the second day, the horses will be chestnut, and on the last day, black. If you are not awake, I shall not be delivered." Okay, so he has to stay awake for 3 days. Standing on a heap of bark in the garden. Okay, makes sense. The man promised to do everything that she asked, but the raven said, "Alas, I know that you will not deliver me. You will take what the woman offers you, and I shall never be freed from this spell." He promised once more to not touch either the food or the drink. But when he reached the house, the old woman said to him, "Poor man, how tired you are! Come and refresh yourself. Eat and drink." "No," said the man, "I will neither eat nor drink." But she persisted and said, "Well, if you won't eat, take a sip out of the glass. 1 sip is nothing." Then he yielded and took a little sip. About 2 o'clock he went down into the garden and stood on the tan heap to wait for the raven. All at once he became so tired that he could not keep on his feet, and he lay down for a moment, not meaning to go to sleep. But he had hardly stretched himself out before his eyelids closed, and he fell fast asleep. He slept so soundly that nothing in the world could have awakened him. At 2 o'clock the raven came, drawn by her 4 white horses. But now she was already very sad, for she said, "I know he is asleep. She alighted from the carriage, went to him, shook him, and called him, but he did not wake. Next day at dinner time the old woman came again and brought him food and drink, but again he refused to touch it. But she left him no peace, till at last she induced him to take a sip from the glass. Towards 2 o'clock he again went into the garden and stood on the tan heap, meaning to wait for the raven, but he suddenly became so tired that he sank down and fell into a deep sleep. When the raven drove up with her chestnut horses, why does she have horses? That is somebody else's horses, I presume. And why are they there? Why would they drive up? Who knows? When the raven drove up with her chestnut horses, she was very mournful and said, "I know he is asleep." She went to him, but he was fast asleep, and she could not wake him. Next day the old woman said, "What is the meaning of this? If you don't eat or drink, you will die." He said, "I must not, and I will not, either eat or drink." She put the dish of food and the glass of wine before him, and when the scent of the wine reached him, he could withstand it no longer, and swallowed a good... Now, it's draft is how I pronounce it. When the time came, he went into the garden and stood on the tan heap and waited for the raven. But he was more tired than ever, and lay down and slept like a log. At 2 o'clock the raven came, drawn by 4 black horses. The coach and everything about it was black. She herself was in the deepest mourning, and said, "Alas, I know he is asleep." She shook him and called him, but she could not wake him. Finding her efforts in vain, she placed a loaf beside him, a piece of meat, and a bottle of wine. Then she took a golden ring on which her name was engraved and put it on his finger. Last, she laid a letter by him, saying that the bread, the meat, and the wine were inexhaustible. She also said, "I see that you cannot deliver me here, but if you still wish to do so, come to the golden castle of Stromberg. I know that it is still in your power." Then she seated herself in her coach again and drove to the golden castle of Stromberg. Is she still Raven? Well, okay. When the man woke and found that he had been asleep, his heart grew heavy, and he said, "She certainly must have passed, and I have not delivered her." Then his eyes fell on the things lying by him, and he read the letter which told him all that had occurred. So he got up and went away to find the golden castle of Stromberg, but he had no idea where to find it. Why did he believe that she wrote the letter? How does a raven write a letter? How does a raven carry a bottle of wine? Who knows? Who knows? Does it matter? Yes, it kind of does matter. When he had wandered about for a long time, he came to a dark wood whence he could not find his way out. After walking about it for a fortnight, he lay down one night under a bush to sleep, for he was very tired. You know what? I want to learn what fortnight means. Fortnight. Okay, let's find out. Let us find out. Please don't be a video game. Come on, guys. Urban Dictionary. No, thank you. Please, no. No. Just no. Here we go. A dictionary. The space of 14 days and nights and days. 2 weeks. Fortnight. Okay. 14 nights. I get it. So let's look at that again. Where was I? After walking about in it for a fortnight. So he's 14 days in the forest. Has he eaten or had anything to drink yet? So it's like 17 days. Let's assume that he's got the stuff that she gave him. So he's eating that for 14 days. Where was I? He lay down one night under a bush to sleep, for he was very tired. Well, of course. But he heard such lamentations and howling that he could not go to sleep, because he's in a deep, dark forest, right? A dark wood. Then he saw a light glimmering in the distance and went towards it. When he reached it, he found that it came from a house which looked very tiny because a huge giant was standing at the door. He thought, if I go in and the giant sees me, I shan't escape with my life. But at last he ventured to go forward. When the giant saw him, he said, "It's a good thing you have appeared, for I have had nothing to eat for an age. I will just swallow you for my supper." So he wants to get in to find a place to sleep. "I had much rather that you did not," said the man. "I do not really like to be eaten." Has he been eaten before? "What if you only want something to eat? I have plenty here to satisfy you." "If you are speaking the truth," said the giant, "you may be quite easy. I was only going to eat you because I had nothing else." Then they went in and sat down at the table. It's either a really small table for the giant or a really big table for the man. And the man produced the bread, the meat, and the wine, which were all inexhaustible. "This just suits me fine," said the giant, and he ate as much as ever he could. The man said to him, "Can you tell me where to find the golden castle of Stromberg?" The giant said, "I will look at my map. Every town, village, and house is marked upon it." He fetched the map, but the castle was not to be found. "It doesn't matter," he said. "I have bigger maps upstairs in my chest. We will look for it there." At last, on a very old map, they found the golden castle of Stromberg, but it was many thousands of miles away. "How am I ever to get there?" asked the man. The giant said, "I have a couple of hours to spare, and I can carry you rather near it. But then I must come back home to look after my wife and child." Then the giant transported him to within 100 leagues of the castle, and said, "You will be able to find your way easily from here alone." Okay, so it said up here, thousands of miles, and then it said here, where? 100 leagues. So I want thousands of miles and hundreds of leagues. What is hundreds of leagues? Let's find out. Did I spell it wrong? Did I spell it wrong? I don't think I spelled it wrong. Oh, am I looking at the right page? I lost my place. Leagus. Okay, well, what is... Maybe Google can tell us? A nautical league. What's a regular league? Is 3 miles. Okay. So it's thousands of miles, and he got within 100 leagues, so 300 miles or so. It's got 400 miles. I can do math here, can't I? Okay. So he's about that far away. A person walks at about 3 to 4 miles an hour, as I understand. Or is that kilometers? I'm so sorry, I don't know offhand. Let's see. Then the giant transported him to within 100 leagues of the castle, so 100 leagues, so 345 miles, and said, "You will be able to find your way easily from here alone." Then he went back, and the man went on, till at last he came to the golden castle. It stood on a mountain of glass, and the bewitched maiden drove round and round it every day in her coach. But she's a raven. Why doesn't she fly? He was delighted to see her again, and wanted to go to her at once. But when he tried to climb the mountain, he found it was so slippery that he slid back at every step. Okay, so the coach wasn't going around the mountain, it was going around the castle up there. When he found he could not reach her, he grew very sad and said to himself, I will stay down here below and wait for her. So he built himself a little hut and lived in it for a whole year, and every day he could see the princess above, driving round and round the castle, but he could never get to her. Then one day he saw 3 robbers fighting, and called out to them, God be with you. Why would he call out to robbers? They stopped at the sound of his voice, but seeing nothing, they began to fight again. Then he cried again, God be with you. I don't understand that expression. They stopped and looked about, but seeing no one, went on fighting. Then he cried for the 3rd time, God be with you. Again they stopped and looked about, but as there was no one visible, they fell to fighting more savagely than ever. He said to himself, I must go and see what it is all about. Is he like shaming them for fighting? I'm not sure. Should we go and find out what the expression God be with you means? How do I do that? I've never looked for expressions. Said when saying goodbye to someone. Well, yes. To say you hope good things will happen to them. That is very odd. Well, I'm going to assume that it means good things will happen to them. I think what the man is saying is kind of like be good, right? Like something like God, pay attention to them, like judge them, so they should be better because he wants God to be looking at them. So their fighting is bad, so he's shaming them by saying that kind of reminding them that God's there looking at them. So what was I saying? He said to himself, I must go and see what it is all about. He wants to know why they're fighting. He went up, so this is the man. He went up and asked them why they were fighting. One of them said he had found a stick which made any door fly open which it touched. The second said he had found a cloak which made him invisible when he wore it. The third said he had caught a horse which could go anywhere, even up the mountain of glass. They could not decide whether these things should be common property or whether they should divide them. So they're robbers and they stole them from someone probably. Then said the man, I will give you something in exchange for them if you like. I have no money, but I have something more valuable. First, however, I must test your things to see if you are speaking the truth. Why would robbers trust him? They let him get onto the horse, put on the cloak, and take the stick in his hand. When he had got them all, he was nowhere to be seen, including the horse. Then he gave them each a sound drubbing and said, Now you have your deserts, you rascals. He robbed the robbers. Is it okay if you rob robbers? I don't know. Then he rode up the glass mountain, and when he reached the castle, he found the gate was shut. He touched it with his stick, and it flew open. He entered and went straight up the stairs into the gallery, where the maiden sat with a golden cup of wine before her. This is a raven, right? She, however, could not see him because he had the cloak on. Could she hear him? Then he took the ring she had given him and dropped it into the cup, where it fell with a clink. She cried, "That is my ring." Did she fish it out of the cup? Okay, hang on. The golden cup of wine. So there's wine in it. Okay. She cried, "That is my ring. The man who is to deliver me must be here." They searched for him all over the castle, but could not find him, for he had gone outside, taken off the cloak, and mounted his horse. When the people came to the gate and saw him, they raised cries of joy. Then he dismounted and took the princess in his arms. She kissed him and said, "Now you have delivered me, and tomorrow we will celebrate our marriage." Isn't she still a raven? Did I miss something? Did I miss something? Did I skip a page? I'm pretty sure I didn't skip a page. Okay, let's make sure I understand this. The child was changed into a raven. So this is a queen who has a little daughter who turned into a raven. She never turned back into a princess. I'm confused. I'm really confused. Okay. He dismounted, took the princess into his arms. She kissed him and said, "Now you have delivered me, and tomorrow we will celebrate our marriage." Oh man. Did he marry a raven? When did she turn back into a princess? I don't know. Okay, well, we're done.